Why, hello there, dear viewers. What a wonderful day it is for us to come and read. What am I reading here? Nothing. So, today we have a wonderful book that I am going to be reading that I wrote myself that is not about rocks and minerals. Shall we get started? Well, I guess first I want to make sure that my stream is working because there were a few side things that for some reason were a little off. So that looks good. Oh, yep, I have a lot of glasses. Indeed. And let me go on to Twitch, make sure that stream is working. Yep, it is working. Is it? Okay, good. The audio is working too. Alrighty then. Looks like we already have 4 viewers. That was quick. Maybe I should just start it a lot sooner or more often. Wait, okay, my book's over here. I was like, wait a minute, where'd it go? It's right here, Okay, I was a little worried. Oh no, Harissa 2 is the bee. How do you get 6 eyes? I don't know. So anyways, let us start with chapters. We're going to be doing chapters 11 and 12, just because chapter 11 is going to be quite a bit longer and time stuff. I don't know. I also want to be able to edit a video, and I want to test it. I want to test out doing a drawing stream. I've only seen a few of them before, but of course I've never seen a reading stream before, so I thought I'd test like some sort of drawing stream and just see how that goes. She has 6 eyes. I know. So, anyways, if you guys don't remember last time, then go look at my last streams, viewer. How dare you not know anything? So, 6 eyes. Spider. So, anyways, let us start off with chapter 11. It has been a while again since I've read this book, so I am just going to be going along with you guys. Alright, that works. Alright. So, we shall be reading then. Second person POV. Previously, you followed Andrew and his other followers to the mountains, where the young king of the Dark Empire was kept. Without anyone expecting it, you killed the young king, ending the line of evil reign, and raced off. You were nearing the town, hoping you weren't too late to save everyone from certain doom, when Carter raced up behind you, pointing up at the dark clouds in the sky. Quickly, you raced into the center of town, only to find exactly who you had expected. Herobrine. Alright, guys, we're finally getting into the excitement. I don't know. I was testing fight scenes and all this stuff throughout this book. I was like, this is an action book. Yeah! So yeah, let us continue. Okay. You glare up at the immortal who hovers before you, he not even noticing your mere existence. Up in the sky, he watches over the town as his armies burn it down, helping here and there casually with a few fireballs. He is your next target. Even though you are far from prepared to face him, you can at least try. The worst that could happen would be if he kills you, which in your case isn't that big of a deal. Minus the months of painful conditioning out in the wilderness as soon as you reawaken. Dead set on distracting the immortal, you load your crossbow and aim it at his chest, taking cover behind some rubble. You fire the projectile. It whizzes through the air, catching a hold of Herobrine's skin, but only his shoulder. It doesn't go deep, as to be expected, but it does do at least some damage. Most of all, it distracts the being from his moment of glory. You quickly duck behind the rubble as Herobrine's eyes shoot in your direction. You hold your breath, hoping he doesn't see you. You hear as the same sounds as before continue, and you poke your head out again. Herobrine has turned his back to you, and you take aim once again, this time for his spine, where it doesn't have to go deep to do some serious damage. You fire once again, the arrow speeding fast. This time, however, Herobrine turns around instantly and catches the arrow in his hand, right before it has a chance to penetrate his chest. He smiles down at you. A vile smile. "Ah, so there was someone down there," he begins, hovering down to you. Since your cover has been blown, you don't try to hide again. Instead, you step out from behind the rocks a little more, a determined look on your face. "Strange how I didn't detect you," he mumbles. Or, "Strange how I didn't detect you," he mumbles to himself. "But that is beside the point. I can finally fight someone brave enough to try to kill me again." Herobrine smirks, drawing a plain golden sword. Oh, you know he's being cocky. You internally smile. Oh, it'll be fun calling his bluff. You don't speak. Instead, you reload your crossbow in an instant and jump to the side, just barely dodging the gold sword the immortal threw at you. As you jump out of the way, you fire the weapon, the arrow flying at Herobrine's head. It hits his brow, just barely missing his left eye, and the immortal grunts in pain. He did not expect you to be so quick. He takes action quickly and yanks the arrow out of out of his skin, allowing a little trail of blood to drip down onto his cheek. He glares hatefully at you, annoyed. "Why, you little—" Herobrine doesn't finish, preparing to take action right away by moving a big portion of the ground toward you with one swift movement of his arm. You catch sight of the large object quickly and jump onto it. Right before the big piece of stone rams into a building, you jump off of it, showing off with a little flip when you are safely on the ground. You hear Herobrine growl in anger, probably wondering how a human could move so quickly. You smile only a little bit while catching your breath. Finally, you are fighting the one and only Lord of Destruction, Herobrine. You know you won't be any help at this. You know you won't be any help at this rate. All you are doing is stalling. You need to leave and save people. Grr! You should have thought through this. Carter is taking forever. If only you hadn't been so driven for a fight. Then you could actually be saving people. You can't worry about that now. You need to find a way to escape. Maybe. Yes. You decide to fake your death so you can get away without Herobrine following or looking for you. Die! You hear Herobrine shout, about to plunge his sword into your face. In the nick of time, you roll out of the way. Not having any time to swap weapons, you slap the back of his head with your crossbow in the same movement. Herobrine is quick too, and he spins around, golden blade aiming for your unguarded chest. You jump back, again, just in time. Herobrine begins to look angry. You should be dead by now. But you just won't let that happen. And when by golden blade, I think I mean obsidian blade. I don't know. I might have gotten that confused. You pull out your iron sword while dodging and use it to block Herobrine's latest swing. The gold nearly cracks your iron. Maybe I don't. But see what I mean by plot holes. Simple things like what kind of sword he has. Anyways, but you are safe behind the weapon. Herobrine smirks, spotting your weakness, and kicks your knee. You know You know not to fall forward, where he will surely turn you into a human kebab. To counter that, you force your weight in the opposite direction and fall onto your back. Herobrine is on top of you, one hand holding your shoulder while the other grasps his golden sword tightly, ready to slit your throat. This is not how you had planned this to go. You had hoped he would keep up the far range attacks. Looks like he decided to not be so childish. You will regret ever you will regret ever having the courage to kill me, Herobrine shouts in your ear, pushing the sword closer to your neck. I wasn't trying to kill you, you breathe. You breathe what you fear may be your last breath. Herobrine's right brow lifts a little, a tiny bit curious. By the looks of it, his left eyebrow is all torn and refusing to move. That is something you have found out after all these years. All the immortals can bleed. You just need to be persistent if you actually want to take one down. I was just stalling you, you say quietly. Suddenly, as if on cue, a horn blows in the distance. You can't believe it worked. Right before running into battle like a stupid person, you added that Carter should find a horn and call for the raiders, knowing they would answer any call. Even though their usual job was to raid villages and kill villagers, they had centuries ago made an agreement with the Protector to answer any call for help. Herobrine looks up at the risen hills and with widening eyes as he sees an army of pillagers, vindicators, ravengers, and vexes rising above the hills to help. The usually enemy army looks over the burning village, taking in a scope of the situation. After a moment, they all charge after Carter, who leads them, every one of them shouting. And yes, again, this is whenever the Pillager update was still relatively new, and I was just excited to have them in the book. In aid of the Protector! They all shouted their battle cries of gruffly grunts as it raises into a cheer. Once the aided armies reach the bottom of the hill, their axes and arrows clash with Herobrine's nether armies, quickly tiring out the enemy forces. No, how? Herobrine shouts. Herobrine jumps up, leaving you to pick yourself up, and flies up to help out his armies. You take that moment to rush off. It hadn't been a solid plan, but it had worked. You run near the main fighting for any citizens to rescue. It looks like a majority of them have made it out safely. However, you still see a few running around. Ghasts make themselves heard by screeching in pain when arrows deflect their balls of fire and poke through their thick, blubbery skin. It doesn't take even a whole stack of arrows to rid the army of all its ghasts. The only mobs remaining are the zombie pigmen and the wither skeletons, which are being handled by the pillager army and their ravengers. Cody! Carter shouts to you. He is helping guide a couple wounded to safety, with a few coughing behind him. It worked! His face gleams, glad he was able to help in some way. You smile back and run into the burning house next to you. As exciting as avoiding death and saving lives may be, it quickly becomes repetitive, and you hope to be done with it soon. Though those you and Carter saved, who are not injured or too young, run back into the collapsing town to help the two of you. The amount of people at your safe point, a large cave just outside town, builds up quickly until people have to start being pushed further into the cave to make room for the new survivors. on the bad side, you do see a lot of bodies. Once hosts to innocent souls lying about the streets. So far, things seem to be going pretty well, however. You just keep looking ahead, life by life, looking for the next person to save. Carter! Carter! An old man shouts. You look right and see a mildly aged man with dark brown, graying hair limping down the street, shouting Carter's name. The man is wearing full iron armor and holds an iron sword in his shaking hand. You rush over to see if you can help. Sir, do you need any help? You ask in a concerned tone. No, I don't need any help, you fool. It's my youngest son. I can't find him. His name is Carter? Yes, I believe I know him. He's helping people escape town. If you want to see him, then you better hurry, you coax, pulling on the older man's arm quickly to guide him to the cave. Get your hands off me, young man. I don't plan on leaving my own home defenses. The missus is still at home. I need to get Carter to convince her to get out of there. The older man tugs his arm back, snapping at you. You look around for the teen, eyeing for any blonde-haired individuals. Finally, you see him running your way from the cave, not looking up to see you. Carter! You shout through the smoke. He looks up at you quickly and spots his dad right away. I believe your parents want your help, you yell. Carter rolls his eyes and comes closer. Ma not leaving the house? We better hurry. Carter runs where his dad had come from. The older man and you follow closely behind. I can't stay. Oof. Limp behind. Carter's dad limping quickly. You unable to help. The three of you make it to the center of town, where you hear a booming voice race after you. Not so quickly, you little band of creeps, Herobrine shouts down at you. Before you cross the center, he lands with a shockwave, knocking all of you off your feet. Your eyes can't open for a moment when you're on the floor. They seem glued shut by the pain in the back of your head. You don't know from where, but you feel blood oozing from your body. You were the closest to Herobrine when he landed, so you took the worst hit. Slowly, you roll yourself back onto your stomach and hold yourself up with your elbows. Very carefully, you place a painful knee under you. Then another one. You are finally up on your hands and knees, coughing up a little blood from when you bit your tongue, when you hear something scream bloody murder. I'm in class, but I just wanted to say hi. Okay. Hello, your local waifu. Thank you for tuning into the stream. Why are you tuning into the stream in class? I guess this is class hour, so... Guess I didn't really think too much about that. I'm homeschooled. I'll be gone. Anyway. No! It's Carter's voice. What is happening? You quickly rush to your wobbly feet and look up just in time to see Herobrine yank his blade from the older man's chest. You see Herobrine had swapped his previous gold sword with his much more recognizable... Okay, never mind. The sword thing wasn't it wasn't a plot hole. Okay, good. I just forgot about that he ever used this gold one. Oh yeah, I remember. It was because he wanted to, he was playing around because gold swords are seen as useless, so he wanted to kill someone with a golden sword just because they're seen as useless. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure. I don't remember explaining that, but that's the explanation. With anyone. Carter falls to his knees, not far from you, trying not to burst into a fit of tears. You see where where this is headed. When Herobrine turns to Carter, a face that just said he was done with fooling around. Oh wait. You see where this is headed when Herobrine turns around, a face that just said he was done with fooling around. Not very goodly worded put, but yes. Okay, you grit your teeth, knowing what has to be done. It's 21 minutes in, okay. I'm gonna remember that. Okay. What? What? Small child? Did that man mean something to you? Herobrine smirks as he looks down upon the teen, who doesn't even care to move. Herobrine pulls back his sword, about to take the young man's life, when you get in the way, literally. The moment you take the blow, your mind flashes again with memories you had forgotten and failed to keep up. Your finger weakens. Your figure weakens, but you aren't dead. In fact, you're winning. You see, in Herobrine's chest is your own iron sword. You know it won't actually kill him, even with it so deep. But you do know how to make it a nuisance to him. You had never forgotten how Herobrine's golden sword had cracked your iron one previously, and you use that to your advantage. While you still have the strength, you jerk the handle to the side, snapping the metal blade. The piece of metal still inside your enemy retreats behind blood, and Herobrine steps back in pain. The Lord of Destruction gags on blood for a moment as he watches you with a face of absolute disbelief. You fall to the side, banging your head so your ear begins to bleed. You won't last long enough to enjoy the moment. Herobrine can see that too in your eyes as the determination in them fades. Like, Herobrine grunts before having to stop when blood reminds him of his own pain, and he vanishes in an instant to leave you to your own death. Cody! Carter rushes to your side and lifts your head up, head and upper torso off the floor. He knows you aren't dying. You are dying too. Is that how you spell it? I don't know. But in his head, he rejects the idea. More tears sogging up his eyes. Cody, stay here. Come on, do something. Anything that will let me know that you are okay. Carter pleads. It has been a long time since you met someone who truly cares. You place your weak hand on the one of his which is keeping your shoulder up and pat it softly, one of his hands. You look into his eyes, yours having a couple tears in them. You don't want the poor Carter to be left all alone, but there is nothing you can do to save yourself. Don't be sad for me, Carter. You speak softly. I'm going to be okay. Go help all the people in that cave. Guide them to an even better place to stay. You instruct the teen. He shakes his head subtly as a couple tears drop from his cheeks. Okay. No, you saved me, he whimpers. You just sigh and cough up some blood, preferring to spit out the side rather than let it drip the sides of your mouth. I just like saving people. You finally shrug. But why? Why did you kill that king then? Carter asks. To be honest, you expected the question. Not exactly the best time to ask, but you guess he never really got the chance before, and now, well, do some research, Cart. You will find out I was only saving more lives that way. It is often that goals will be twisted to look the opposite of what they are. You answer. The teen only looks sadder. What should I do now? My home, my family, my friends, they're all gone, Carter asks you. You squeeze his hand firmly, grabbing his attention and making the teen look back at you. You deflect his worry-filled face with a peaceful smile. That's the easy part. Just do whatever you are best at, and build up from there. Everyone has a destiny, both a good and bad one. Choose to do what you love, and that will help others, not just yourself. And live in true happiness. You coach. You aren't sure if your words aren't very helpful, or even if they were spoken correctly. Hopefully he understands. Carter nods, and another tear drips from his eyes. But what about you? He asks, mostly whispering. Your vision dulls. Yeah, that is easy too. I'm dying if you can't tell. You say casually, your breath slowly being sucked out of your lungs. Trust me, I'll be fine, friend. You finally sigh. Saying the word friend in general is a big struggle for you with so many losses in your past, but you finally find it worth saying, making the moment even more meaningful. Slowly, as if slipping into a deep sleep, you pass. Dun dun dun! But we all know that you will be all right. Right, guys? Boom boom. So yeah, that's chapter 11. Let's do chapter 12 now. Whoopity. Nice. Okay. Third person POV. Anyways, previously, all alone in the silence, the dark void fell to its knees. I still get annoyed by the apostrophe and the it's. Why? Anyways, its outline barely visible in the darkness, and stayed that way, silently, unable to cry. I don't know. Anyways, enough trying to make door noises. Okay. The sound of a rusty door opening could be heard from all the way down the halls. A series of footsteps from the door followed. In a dark room, absolutely silent, was a lone figure. Its outline almost impossible to spot in the darkness. The dark figure's stance was low, as it kept on its knees. Heavy obsidian chains, enchanted with some unknown spell, weighed the being down, keeping it from moving. The figure's dull eyes flickered open as the sound of footsteps came closer. It recognized the foot pattern. The figure shook as if it were vibrating, worried what might come next now that it has managed to survive this long. I don't know. A high-pitched, polite sounding voice tried to speak, but was silent right away by the newcomer's voice. Sure enough, it was Herobrine. I don't know. Save the formality for later. Herobrine's voice spat. Save the formality for later. Herobrine's voice spat, sounding in the worst of moods. So, has it cracked yet? He asked the guard. There was no immediate verbal answer. After a couple months, the thing just stopped talking. We're not quite sure what that means. The guard finally spoke. Do you know what this thing is yet? Herobrine whispered. Do you know what this thing is yet? Herobrine whispered, just loud enough for the figure to fill in the blanks it had missed in its head. Not at all, my king. We can't tell if... we can tell it feels pain, but we have yet to find any form of blood or wounds anywhere. As far as we know, it appears to be made of pure dark matter. The guard whispered back. There was some more silence until the void cell door opened, forcing blinding light from the hallway to peer into the form's eyes. The void squinted and lowered its head. In through the door stepped Herobrine, his glowing eyes looking extra terrifying with them set in kill mode. Noel shook, but didn't speak. "What?" Herobrine grinned, taking a step closer. "Too afraid to talk to your old pal?" The void didn't answer. Its head only cowered to the ground like a mistreated puppy. Herobrine walked up to the humanoid void, a little angry that the being was not answering. Strange. You usually would be saying some snarky comment by now, Herobrine pointed out, but still, Noel stayed quiet. It could actually think of several things it could respond with, but none of them were worth saying that at the time. Bring that thing along, Herobrine instructed right before turning out the door and leaving. In his place entered 2 large wither skeletons, as well as a short enderman with blue eyes instead of purple. Without any struggling, Noel was unchained from the wall, and its chains were held tightly by each wither skeleton. Once out in the worn stone brick hallways, Noel saw about 12 other endermen waiting to escort it as well. Darn. Noel had hoped there would only be a few. "So, was it any trouble for you?" Herobrine asked the smaller enderman who walked in front of the prisoner, not too far behind himself. Quite a bit, actually. It kept attempting to escape until we finally pulled out the enchanted chains," the short enderman replied. "That bad, huh? Well, looks like our little friend here doesn't like being cooped up." Herobrine smiled deviously over his shoulder at the prisoner. Noel only scowled back at him before looking down in shame. As they walked, Noel did nothing but look left and right slowly, looking for a single glimpse of hope in the form of an escape route. The void knew no one would be willing enough to rescue it. The poor thing had done nothing so far but cause trouble for itself. The walking lasted quite a while until everyone stopped when the hallway opened up into a decent sized room with a simple table and 2 chairs on either side. One of the chairs looked comfy while the other was made of solid iron. Noel sat in the iron one, of course, while Herobrine sat comfortably on the seat with a cushion. The 2 then sat awkwardly with their forearms resting on the table, just facing one another for a few minutes. "All right, let's start this already. So, where exactly do you come from?" Herobrine suddenly asked. Noel shrugged. It had already told Herobrine everything before. The furthest back it could remember was waking up in some random location somewhere, not knowing anything, not even its own name. "Fine. Want to play it that way? Just you wait. Did you block me from your mind?" Herobrine's left brow raised in confusion. I should have had it to right brow. The inconsistencies! Oh my gosh! Let's change that right now! No, not the Grammarly. Boom, look at that. Gotta make it consistent, my friends. Anyways. Actually, where was I? Sorry, I just kind of ruined the moment. Like, gotta keep it consistent. Where was I? Bippity boppity boo. Alright. Wait, did you block me from your mind? Herobrine's right brow raised in confusion. For whatever reason, For whatever reason, he could no longer read Noel's mind. But how? He was even able to read Notch's mind if close enough. It should have been impossible to block access. Noel stared blankly at the table as Herobrine kept trying harder and harder to peer through into its thoughts. But it was no use. Herobrine eventually gave up with an annoyed groan and a huff. He just couldn't believe such a thing was possible. Well, I bet you're probably wondering how long you've been down here and why I am here. Herobrine brought up with a new, chill smile. Noel looked up curiously. I'm happy to announce that I have finally made the entire human species extinct, Herobrine boasted, as if it were not such a terrible thing to do. Noel's eyes widened larger than they ever had been before, and its heart felt like it was going to explode. On the outside, the entire humanoid void jumped in its seat and shook with both fear and anger. Herobrine only. Hello? How do you mute? I don't know how to mute this. Me mother didn't know I was streaming. Carter angst? Yes. Sorry, I've been reading this. Well, anyways. So this reaction. Honestly, Noel, I would have thought that after about two years, 2 years, you would have completely forgotten about those puny creatures. Noel jumped up to strangle Herobrine. The mobs behind it quickly tugged the chains before the figure could cross the table. After a few seconds, the pointless reaching for Herobrine's neck with a desperately angry face, the humanoid void eventually gave up and let itself be pulled back into its seat. Once sitting back down, the monsters used the same chains attached to the void's wrist to tie it to the chair, which it did not approve of. However, it was too late to even try to fight back. So, are you going to answer any of my questions? Or am I going to have to go out of my way to get answers? Herobrine threatened casually. Literally. So, are you going to answer any of my questions? Or am I going to have to go out of my way to get answers? Herobrine threatened casually, which somehow made the suggestion even more terrifying. Noel dropped its head and closed its eyes. The dark void definitely did not want to be tortured any longer, but it saw no way around it. The void just could no longer speak. There was just something inside that had shut off after some time. No sound could escape it. Was it broken? Noel didn't know. Fine. Have it your way. Don't speak. But don't say I didn't warn you, Herobrine eventually growled, standing up. Unexpectedly, Noel was the next one to move, wiggling its wrists out of the chains after silently working at them for at least a few minutes, and jumping up to kick Herobrine over. Having not expected this, Herobrine fell to the force of the kick onto his back and slid on the floor. The Enderman in Wither's skeleton scowled at Noel and prepared to fight. Noel, though, in that moment having the slight upper hand, knew it could not last long in a fight with it already so weak. Choosing to be smart, the void emitted even more of the dark substance around it and blocked the eyes of everyone else in there. While chained up, the void had started to figure out all it was capable of. No longer did it have to rely on all those spells and tricks it had been taught by the others. This being had made up some tricks of its own, including the dark fog manipulation. "Ag, my eyes!" the small Enderman screamed in the dark fog, running blindly into a wall. Even Herobrine was unable to see in the darkness, but Noel easily could. Noel quickly looked for an exit. It quickly spotted a barred up window, and had just enough time to break through the bars. Unlike all the other times, no one could even pinpoint the dark void in the void of darkness. Smiley face. Noel pulled itself through the small window desperately. It was nearly all the way out when the figure felt a firm hand grasp its ankle. The firm grasp was right away recognized as Herobrine's. Noel's eyes widened. It knew it wouldn't be that easy, but surely it could at least have a chance. "Where do you think you're going, demon?" Herobrine snapped, yanking on Noel's leg. The dark figure kept a firm hold of the walls just outside the window and held on for dear life. As Noel continued to try squirming out, its other foot kicked ferociously at whatever was keeping it from escaping. The form was already pretty tired, and the frantic kicking only tired it out more. Success finally came when the figure's foot kicked Herobrine so hard in the face that his nose started bleeding immediately. Herobrine loosened his grip for a split second, and Noel took perfect advantage of that. In only a second, Noel slipped through the window entirely and began running away as fast as possible. But that was not the end of the trials in its attempt at escaping. Far from it. So that was chapter 12. So this stream's a little bit shorter than last time. The last few, I've usually tried to keep them within the 1 hour range. This one's only 43 or something minutes long, so as of right now at least. So, thank you everyone so much for joining, and I hope you were able to enjoy the story. I see as we've had a very consistent viewers, so that means that you guys were, just chilling and just listening, and that's really all that is necessary about this. You just have to kind of just chill and listen or play Minecraft or something in the background. So yeah. Yep. Bye, Elizabeth. And bye everybody else as well who is in the stream. I shall see you all later. How do I? Ta-da! Bye everybody! That's great. I'm so good at